The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman. It's Monday, so that means it's time for another edition of Black Focus Radio, the show that looks at our issues, comes up with our solutions, using our voices. If you'd like to contact me, call me at 615-554-0568. I'm David W. Coleman, and it's a pleasure to be with you once again on this beautiful day here in the DMV. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but before we get into that, make sure you support our sponsors, joinedradio.com. Just go out to Joinet Radio, and the holiday season is upon us. So it's time for you to do some advertising to let people know that you are there. So the best way to do that is contact JC Love at joinetradio.com. And also don't forget to support ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com. It's the place where you bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, because if you let me, I'll take your hand and lead you right down through barbecue land. So, and I'm trying to educate folks here in the DMV. You know, I love, the friends I've met up here, I love telling them that they can't barbecue, and they kind of look at me crazy. I don't care, because they can. Okay. All right. One of the other things I need to remind you about is joining my one-man campaign to get rid of the N-word. Please, just don't say it. There are so many other things that you can call your brother, but certainly don't call him the N-word, okay? So, a lot of things on the agenda today. Of course, we got a great black fact. We will talk about that a little bit today as well. But also, this past week, we had a huge election that took place in various parts of the country. And we're going to get into that a little bit today as well. So we're going to talk about the election results. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Zorhan Mamdani and the election results. We're also going to talk a little bit about Jonathan Greenblatt and this Israeli lobby. And it seems to be that more and more people are becoming hip to what's going on with Israel. That's going to be interesting to watch. Also, we'll follow up with the Republican freakout. All right? Because they freaking out that Mamdani won in New York City. They're going to be freaking out even more as we get closer and closer to the election. Also, we got to talk about SNAP. SNAP benefits have not been paid as of yet. They are supposed to be paid, according to a court, late Friday evening at 100%. We'll get into that today as well. Trump goes to court to try and stop people from getting fed. That should tell you a lot about this guy. And last but not least is what we must do. I can't wait to get to this segment of the show because I'm going to put a lot of folks on blast because Tuesday made you all look like a bunch of damn fools. Yes, it did. Okay? So, without further ado, let's get the show on the road and let's start it off with Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
You know, I'm in the middle of a campaign to educate everybody that listens to this show about the Red Summer and the things that were going on. But I want to also remind you that there were so many things that went on after the Red Summer that was just as horrific. And although this particular thing I'm going to talk about today is not part of the Red Summer, but it certainly has its DNA. And more or less, the reason I'm talking about this is I was reminded about this. And those of you who don't know me, I hail from Little Rock, Arkansas. And there has been a lot of tragedies in Little Rock, Arkansas and the surrounding area as it relates to race that no one talks about. As I've told you before, Elaine, Arkansas is one that now people are beginning to talk about it. But for a long time, people talked about Tulsa. They talked about Ocoee. They talked about Rosewood that had a movie made about it. But no one ever talked about Elaine, Arkansas, which was tragically, probably, when you look at the numbers, the worst of the Red Summer massacres. But this particular issue bothered me when I first found out about it years ago. And the irony is that I went by this place on numerous occasions. I went because during that time I was in church. We had conferences, church conferences, and one of the churches that was in our denomination, in our little CME area, was BB Chapel. And BB Chapel was right down the street from this tragedy that I knew nothing about as a kid, and until I became an adult is when I found out about it. So I want to talk to you today about the black boys in the industrial school fire in Wrighytsville, Arkansas. Wrighytsville, Arkansas is about 10 miles southeast of Little Rock. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from Little Rock. I have a lot of friends from Wrighytsville, Arkansas. The high school in that area was Little Rock Mills. So let's talk about the Negro Boys Industrial School fire of 1959. On March 5th, 1959, 21 African American boys were burned to death inside of a dormitory at an Arkansas reform school in Wrighytsville, Arkansas. The doors were locked from the outside. The fire mysteriously ignited around 4 a.m. on a cold, wet morning following earlier thunderstorms in the same area of rural Pulaski County. The institution was down a 1 mile dirt road from the mostly black town of Wrighytsville, then an unincorporated hamlet 13 miles south of Little Rock, Arkansas. 48 children ages 13 to 17 managed to claw their way to safety by knocking out 2 of the window screens. Amidst the choking, blinding smoke and heat, 4 or 5 boys at a time tried to fight their way forward through the narrow openings as the fire began to devour them. Survivors never forgot the horror of that fire. The wife of one of the survivors later said in an interview before her husband's death from cancer that he had continued to dream about the fire. The event brought attention to this largely forgotten institution that was operating during the Jim Crow era in Arkansas. Founded in 1923, Arkansas Negro Boys Industrial School was, for most of its existence, a juvenile work farm located first outside of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and then in the mid-30s outside of Wrighytsville. The institution became Exhibit A for the disparities that prevailed in Arkansas during segregation. Throughout the history of segregation, government employees, historians, and psychologists documented differences in the philosophy and physical structures of white and black institutions in the state. For example, the 1940 biennial report to the governor notes the following vocational trades taught at white boys' school: carpentry and joining, cabinet work, glazing, painting, cement work, bricklaying, wood and metal lathe operation, blacksmithing, acetylene welding, plastering, tailoring, and shoe mending. NBIS is mentioned only once, as the recipients of 156 mattresses made by the White Boys Trade School. By the time of the fire, the differences had only marginally narrowed. A 1956 report by sociologist Gordon Morgan documented the horrific conditions at Wrighytsville. It was not merely that vocational education suffers greatly at the school. The squalor was mind-boggling. Many boys go for days with only rags for clothes. More than half of them wear neither socks nor underwear during the winter of 1955 and 56. It is not uncommon to see youth going for weeks without bathing or changing clothes. At times, the number of boys at the school was over 100. There was no laundry equipment. A single 30-gallon hot water tank served for bathing needs for the entire population. The water was deemed undrinkable. Employees brought their own drinking water to work. As an institution for black male delinquents or orphans in an era in which penal conditions were particularly notorious for their routine cruelty and corruption, Wrighytsville resembled in some unsettling ways the infamous Arkansas adult prison farm in southeast Arkansas, popularized by the 1980 movie Brubaker. Wrighytsville had all the earmarks or hallmarks of a junior prison work farm in the making. At the time the decision was made to move MBS to Wrighytsville, the Arkansas General Assembly formally decided the best treatment for black boys sentenced to the institution was farming. Morgan, the sociologist who had worked on the 1956 report on the school, would later become the first tenured African-American professor at the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. He wrote in his master's thesis on NBIS that in an earlier era, armed guards had overseen the boys in the fields. Boys were whipped with a large leather strap for infractions. The deteriorating condition of the physical plant at Wrighytsville may have been a significant cause for the 1959 fire. All buildings are in need of extensive repairs, particularly the boys' living quarters, Morgan noted in 1956. As Wrighytsville was supposed to be a self-sustaining operation as possible, the emphasis on the farm yields. Maintenance was in short supply or non-existent. Governor Orville Faubus would admit weeks after the fire that faulty wiring may have contributed to the fire. I paused right there because if you don't understand Orville Faubus's history in Arkansas, then you would understand that you can't believe a damn word he says. Although he was noticeably disturbed by the deaths of 21 children, the governor acted immediately to guard against their deaths being used as possible political weapons against him. Even though he had visited NBIS in the past year and had publicly noted its deteriorating condition, he had failed to propose an increase in appropriations to address the issue. In characteristic fashion, the governor went on the attack, insinuating that his press conference the morning of the fire that the blame for the deaths of the boys lay squarely on the shoulder of Lester R. Grimes, the black superintendent. Lester Gaines had failed to ensure the safety of the boys by having an employee at the building at night in case of emergency. The reality would be more complicated. Clearly expecting the board of directors for the school to rubber stamp his conclusion that Gaines was at fault, Faubus appointed the remaining 3 members to conduct an immediate hearing to determine where the blame lay. To his obvious chagrin, after interviewing certain employees, his board, whose members he had appointed himself, concluded that Superintendent L.R. Gaines had acted properly and that everyone had attempted to carry out his duty. The board did nothing more than recommend a severe reprimand for the employee who was supposed to be in charge of the supervision that night. In fact, a careful reading of the admissions and contradictory statements by Gaines given publicly to the press and at the hearing in the days after the fire reveals, at a minimum, negligence and other wrongdoing on the superintendent's part. At the same time, the Wrighytsville institution, through no fault of the superintendent, was dangerously short-staffed, especially in comparison to Pine Bluff. On the night of the fire, the institution for white boys in Pine Bluff had 2 house parents on duty, and the doors at the institution were not locked at night. The governor told reporters that Wrighytsville had a high incidence of escapes, which accounted for the difference in policy. Additionally, Gaines had appeared in person to make the dormitory's deteriorating condition known to the state legislature's subcommittee. In response to the finding of the board, Faubus angrily announced that he would get to the bottom of the controversy and would conduct his own investigation. Within 2 weeks, he called another press conference recommending to the board that it terminate Gaines's wife, and one other employee. He told reporters that he had evidence that Gaines had gotten certain employees together before the board's hearing and pressured them into fabricating a story that would absolve him of responsibility. 2 employees had allegedly came to the governor's mansion to talk to Faubus privately and had changed their stories about their duties. According to the governor, both men said that the superintendent had permitted them to go home for the night after seeing that the boys were in bed and locking them in, since they had worked all day. Gaines responded by refusing to back down, telling the press that he was hired by the board and would not resign unless its members called for his resignation. 11 employees publicly supported their superintendent by signing a statement that was carried in its entirety in the Arkansas State Press, the largest statewide African-American newspaper in Arkansas, published by civil rights activists and founders of this Arkansas State Press, L.C. and Daisy Bates. Editorials in the paper were the only public display of support within Arkansas for Gaines. At his next meeting, the board chairman, Alfred Smith, announced the termination of employees recommended by the governor, including Gaines. Governor Orville Faubus insisted that the matter not rest there. He instructed his attorney to turn over the investigative material he had assembled to the prosecuting attorney's office. A Pulaski County grand jury questioned witnesses, but returned a no criminal indictment. In final reports, the grand jury made the following statement: the blame can be placed on lots of shoulders for the tragedy. The board of directors, to a certain extent, who might have pointed out through newspaper and other publicity the extreme hazards and plights of the school. The superintendent and his staff, who perhaps continued to do the best they could in a resigned fashion when they had nothing to do with it. The state administration, one right after another through the past years, who allowed conditions to become disreputable. The General Assembly of the state of Arkansas, who should have been so ashamed of the conditions that they would have previously allowed sufficient money to have these conditions corrected. And finally, the people of Arkansas, who did nothing about it. Clearly, the fire had caused embarrassment in the state. Its citizens, however, generally saw the deaths of 21 black boys not as a consequence of the state's continuing commitment to the policy of white supremacy, but rather as a result of negligence. At an earlier Arkansas Claims Commission hearing, Individual family members had been awarded a few $100s each for the deaths of their loved ones. White attorneys representing the families received as much as 50% of the damages awarded by the commission. Living in Chicago, Illinois at the time, Gaines did not return to Little Rock to defend his actions, nor did he testify before the grand jury. After the initial publicity died down, the fire was largely forgotten by the public until 50 years later, when Frank Lawrence, a brother of one of the victims, brought the deaths of the boys again to the attention of the state. Attempting to make a documentary film about the fire, Lawrence was joined by family members and others who sought some kind of closure on behalf of their families. Significantly, reaction to the deaths of the boys outside of Arkansas at the time of the fire was in sharp contrast to the response of the people living inside the state. The governor received 30 letters from citizens across the country, almost all from the outside of the South, responding to wire service accounts in newspapers. The outraged correspondents interpreted the deaths as part of an ongoing pattern of behavior that began in 1957 during the Little Rock Central High crisis, and said so in scathing language. Representatives of these views was a telegram from the Greater King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. We hold you and Jim Crow system of the South just as responsible for the burning of the Negro children in Little Rock as if you had struck the match. We pledge to fight until you, the subhuman racialism you represent, are thrown into the garbage dump of history. On April 21st, 2018, a monument was placed at Haven of Rest Cemetery in Little Rock, where 14 of the 21 victims, those who could be identified, had been buried in an unmarked mass grave. Those buried at the site were Lindsay Cross, age 14, Charles L. Thomas, age 15, Frank Barnes, 15, R.D. Brown, 16, Jesse Carpenter, 16, Joe Crittenden, 16, John Daniel, 16, Willie G. Horner, 16, Ray Chester Powell, 16, Cecil Preston, 17, Carl Thornton, 15, Johnny Tillison, 16, Edward Tolston, Jr., 15, and Charles White, 15. The 7 who had been identified and buried separately were Roy Good, Willie Piggy, John Alfred George, Henry Daniels, Amos Geis, O.T. Meadows, Willie Lee Williams. On April 25th, 2019, a monument to the dead was unveiled at the Wrighytsville unit of the Department of Corrections. And I thought that was important for you to know, because Orville Faubus was the governor who refused to allow black people to enter Little Rock Central. And even to this day, as sanitized as that version that I just read, even to this day, many people believe that that fire was set on purpose. And that's our black fact for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people on joynetradio.com.
I hope you enjoyed that Black Fact. We are on a journey through the red summer and stops along the way. Wrighytsville, Arkansas, although years later, 40 years later, was still part of the red summer because white supremacists were still killing black people. And it's important for us to know, it is important for you to know that this stands today by this Trump administration, by bombing Venezuelan boats, is no different from what happened in Arkansas. Kill them. We don't care. They don't look like us. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at joynetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joynetradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about joynetradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joynetradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joynetradio.com.
David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub and Rib Nuts. Go to ribrub.com, that's RIBBRUBB.com right now, and stock up on the best dry marinades for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats. 3 great flavors, hot and spicy, original, and scorching. Try them at your next cookout and you will shout, bake it, grill it, shake it, oh yeah! Only one place to get Coleman's Dynamic products, that's ribrub.com. Easy to order, and I'll ship direct to you or to friends and family anywhere in the United States. While on the site, be sure to check out other great items, especially the rib nuts. Who'da thunk it? Peanuts sauteed in a barbecue marinade? That's just crazy good. Get them at ribrub.com right now, along with other great recipes. That's ribrub.com. If you don't like my rib rub or rib nuts, I'll give you money back. Do it today. That's Coleman's Dynamic Products at ribrub.com.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. This segment, I want to talk a little bit about what happened this past week, okay? Because it was crazy, because we had an election. Those of you who don't know. And later on in the show, I'm gonna come at you people who don't think, particularly you black people, who don't think it's smart to vote, because this week proved you a liar. In fact, this week proved that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I'm not going to get into that right now. We're going to talk about the results, because every election that was held this past Tuesday, or last Tuesday I should say, was swept by the Democrats. Now let me be clear, I'm not a Democrat, nor am I a Republican. I'm proudly independent and have been so for decades. As a matter of fact, when I moved to Maryland and registered to vote, they asked me, do I want to register as a Democrat or Republican? And I looked at her like she was crazy. And I looked at her so badly, I guess, she said, oh, I didn't mean to insult you. Because I gave her hell to the no. And I told her, I said just like this, I am proudly independent. And then I went on to try to proselytize to her and say, if you're not an independent, you should be. Okay? But I tell people all the time is that I vote for the people who I think is going to best serve myself and my constituencies, my community. And as of late, it's been the Democratic Party. That could change. Don't see that happening anytime soon. Not at all. Not at all. But I think it was a bellwether for the country, because I think people are tired of what is going on with this administration. You could run down the list of the graft and greed, I should say, the corruption, when you tell me you're a law and order administration and you let 1,600 criminals out free, and in fact you are a criminal yourself, and recently we were just notified that you are trying to get your 34 felonies expunged from your record. But let's go ahead and jump into the results of Tuesday, because they were land-shattering, okay? On Election Day, the Democrats delivered what many would call a very historic victory. You know, we've heard in the past that there's going to be a red wave. No, that was a blue wave. The Democrats put up highly qualified candidates with clear plans to lower cost on working families. The Democratic Party continues to be the only party focused on addressing kitchen table issues. Republicans bend the knee to Donald Trump and his toxic agenda. You know, last Friday, while SNAP benefits were being cut off, Donald Trump was at Mar-a-Lago having a Great Gatsby type dinner. And those of you who didn't read or weren't in high school, because I was a ninth grade English, honors English, we had to read The Great Gatsby. And you're talking about an excess of wealth. I hated the book. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So I want to talk to you, at least go over a list of these victories. Okay? I want to go over a list of these victories. In New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, she won the governor race. Okay? This was a race that Republicans thought that they were going to dominate. She won by double digits. She prevails over the Republican Jack Ciattarelli and wins the race for governor. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger elected governor in a historic first that boosts Democrats ahead of 2026. Because see, there's no more news for Virginia. Just hang on. But Abigail Spanberger and the candidate that was running on the Republican part, Winsome Sears, she was a black lady. Here's the funny thing about a side note that happened in that election. Winsome Sears had the unmitigated gall to think that the NAACP of Virginia was going to throw their support behind her, all because she was black. And there were black conservatives that was getting on social media who called themselves chastising the NAACP for not supporting Winsome Sears. Now, wait a minute. The NAACP is designed to support minorities for minority causes. What the hell did Winsome Sears have to do with minorities except for the color of her skin? So, come on. That woman, and if you heard her debating, I don't know, I really got caught up in political season this year. If you heard her debating, this woman was an airhead. She was strictly trying to depend on Donald Trump. She was a former lieutenant governor of Virginia, by the way. And she lost. Yeah, she lost. By the way, maybe Donald Trump will get you in his cabinet. Not. In fact, Donald Trump didn't even endorse you, Winsome Sears. So wait a minute. Y'all wanted the NAACP to endorse a candidate who was trying to get Trump's endorsement. Yeah, you black conservatives have lost y'all goddamn minds. I'm sorry. Didn't mean that just came out, man. I'm sorry. All right. I got to beat that out. I will. Let's continue with Virginia. Okay, the Democrats soared with 64 seats in the Virginia Commonwealth House of Representatives. In other words, not only did they win the governor's race, they got 64 new seats in the legislature. So what did I hear some Republicans crying? Hark! There's more from Virginia. All right. Virginia's Ghazala Hashmi became the first Muslim woman elected in a statewide election. Whoo! Hello? Did y'all hear me? She is the lieutenant governor of Virginia. So you got a woman governor, you got a Muslim woman governor, and you got 64 new seats in the state legislature. Give Virginia some dap, man. I'm getting them some dap. We ain't done though. Hang on, we got time. We ain't done. In Pennsylvania, okay, Pennsylvania actually elect their judges, their Supreme Court judges of the state, and they have 10-year terms. And the Rethuglicans thought that, we gonna take them seats. We gonna take them seats. Not. As a matter of fact, all 3 of the Supreme Court justices that were up for election, they're still there. And they are Democratic. You didn't take no seats. You didn't take no seats. Oh, man. They're all liberal. Y'all upset? In New York, Zorhan Mamdani, New York's new mayor. Yeah, he's Muslim. And if you saw the aftermath of what was going on Fox News, all you could do was laugh. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Prop 50 in California. You know, the vote that was put on the ballot to redistrict California because the Rethuglicans were trying to cheat and steal the 2026 elections. Here's the question that needs to be asked of any Republican. If your policies are so good, why do you need to redistrict? Well, Prop 50 passed in California. And here's the amazing thing about Prop 50. There was nothing else on the ballot. There was nothing else on the ballot. And from what I understand, over 8 million people turned out. Here are the results from that race. 6,421,500 people voted for Prop 50. And only half of those, 3,500,000, voted no. So over 8 million people turned out in California just for a proposition on the ballot. Now, if that doesn't send a message, and you can scream and holler and say, oh, well, that's California, yada, yada, yada. No, I guarantee you that a lot of those people who turned out for that particular ballot initiative, they were upset in listening to some of the reporters who were going in and out of the lines, because they were saying that in one particular polling spot, the lines were around the block. And each one of them were there not necessarily for Gavin Newsom, who championed this Prop 50, but they were there because many of them said they want to stop the Trump administration, young and old alike. In Georgia, Democrats flipped 2 seats on the Georgia Public Service Commission. In Maine, voter ID absentee ballot restrictions were defeated in Maine. Hello, What we haven't talked about are the 3 seats that were flipped in Mississippi. You know, Mississippi? 3 seats flipped in Mississippi in their state legislature. Okay? You're talking about Project 2025? This is Project 2026. This is what we ought to be doing. Okay? I want to make sure I give the brothers and sisters in Mississippi their due. So let me pull up this particular article. After 6 years, Mississippi Democrats have broken the Republican Party's supermajority in the Senate. Voters elected Democrats to 2 seats previously held by Republicans, reducing the number of Republican senators in the upper chamber from 36 to 34, one fewer than necessary to constitute a supermajority. When a party has a supermajority status in the Mississippi Senate, it can more easily override a governor's veto, propose constitutional amendments, and execute certain procedural actions like reviving dead legislation. The Mississippi Democratic Party called the victory a historic rebuke of extremism. Breaking the supermajority means restoring checks and balances and ensuring that every Mississippian's voice counts in their state government, according to Mississippi Democratic Party Vice Chair Jody Brown. In the Mississippi Pine Belt region, Democrat Johnny Depew won State Senate District 45, previously held by Republican Senator Chris Johnson of Hattiesburg. In North Mississippi, Democrat Teresa Gillespie Isom won the Senate seat 2, held by Republican David Parker of Olive Branch. Republicans have held the supermajority in the Senate since the 2019 elections. And there you go. Those are the results from Tuesday. Now, Republicans are upset. They're mad. They're trying to write it off. Oh, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Yeah, there's a lot to see here. I mentioned Zorhan Mamdani, and I said on the last couple of shows that if I had a vote, I would vote for him as well. You see, what people don't understand, what people are not getting, is that I believe there are parts of America that's waking up. It's slow, but they are waking up. These were not just Muslims who voted for Mamdani. They were black, they were white, they were Jews, they were Gentiles, they were Hispanics. It ran the gamut. This boy, or I should say this young man, is 34 years old. He's barely older than my son. Maybe a year older than my son. And he took New York by storm. In the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the hate and the anger that has come out of various parts. And I'm going to give a warning to the Democrats, because this is a big tent. The Democratic Party. The Republican Party is white, male, and racist. And the few women that are in that party have to take a back seat. I believe unequivocally that this is the reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene is acting out, because she is tired of being put on the back burner, put at the back seat, riding the proverbial back of the bus. Because that's what I was going to say the grand old party, but I should call them the guardians of pedophiles. That's what they stand for. Okay? That's what they stand for. So let's take another quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the election as well and the Republican freakout. Next hour, I want to talk a little bit about Jonathan Greenblatt. He is the head of the Anti-Defamation League. We're going to get into that as well. All right? We're also going to talk about SNAP benefits. And lastly, we're going to talk about the power of the vote. You know what I'm talking about. You know you people out there who are saying the vote don't matter. Did you learn something? I know, you got that cognitive dissonance going on, but that's okay. That's okay. Back in a moment, you're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinetradio.com.
Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all-natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you'd like to join the show, a lot of stuff to talk about. We've been talking about the results of Tuesday's elections and the broader aspects of that, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. Let me take a sip of water here. It's amazing. My sinuses seem to drain whenever I'm on the air. It's so weird. I don't know why. So, I called the GOP the guardians of the pedophiles. That's about to break here in just a little bit, because from what I understand, the suit that was put forward by the people of Representative Gribalda from Arizona has been ruled upon, and Mike Johnson has got to swear her in ASAP. And that means that the vote for the Epstein files will be post-haste, at least once the government shutdown is done with. So that's on the agenda. But I do want to continue to talk about this landslide victory, because the Rethuglicans Party has tried to write it off as nothing to see here. And there's a lot to see here, as a matter of fact. There's a whole lot to see here. Is the reason that I took the time out to even talk about the different wins all the way down the line, the Public Service Commission, all of those, and what I didn't get into, that there were multiple school board elections across the country as well. And all of those school board members were turned out on their ear, who were, quote unquote, conservative. Those remember Moms for Liberty, which is a conservative group that was going around the country attacking the school boards and talking about CRT and all this other stuff. All of their candidates were defeated. Now, the Rethuglicans might not want to look at this the way it really is, that this was a major repudiation of what you stand for. What happened Tuesday night is the America that I've been looking for. What happened Tuesday night was the white America that I've been looking for. Because as I've said over and over again, is that it is no longer and should have never been the black man's job to get rid of racism. And I think black people sitting on the sideline over these marches and getting out and campaigning have said something to people like you who went out Tuesday. Black people ain't going no more. Nope. Even the Hispanics, if you look at the numbers, they turned out in droves. And in some respect, they doubled and tripled their turnout as it was opposed to 2024, when many of them voted for Donald Trump. I can hear Hispanics saying, see, black people, we ain't that bad. No, y'all don't get a pass yet. No. Y'all need to repudiate your bigotry and racism that you have against black people. But what you did Tuesday, that's a start. Over the next year, we're going to see your real colors. Pun intended. We're going to see your real colors. Okay? But as Nancy Pelosi did, and by the way, hats off to Nancy Pelosi, who is finally giving up the gavel. Fantastic job on her part. Probably the most effective Speaker of the House that we've ever seen. I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't always agree with what she did, but either way, she was good for the Democratic Party and the nation. So, now, let's talk a little bit more about what happened. Because the Republican Party is upset. I went to Fox News. They were upset about Zorhan Mamdani. They're claiming that people are going to move out of New York City. All my rich friends, and it's funny, they were talking about their rich friends. See, they still didn't get it. See, this election was not about rich folks, okay? This election was about us, the poor folks who have had enough. I've been touting this for years, that we need to stop voting for rich people. We just got it. Now, you might have an exception to the rule, and that's fine. But as soon as that person shows his or her color, they need to go. No more voting for rich people unless they've got a proven track record of helping poor people or people who were less fortunate. This is the reason these people turned out in droves the other day was because they began to realize that these rich folks don't give a damn about us. They realize that you can take health care, and now they're all upset. You can take food. You really want Americans to starve. They want Americans to starve so bad that this past Friday, Donald Trump was in court because there had been a court ruling that told him that you must fund SNAP benefits. Now, wait a minute. There's something you need to understand here about these SNAP benefits. There have been government shutdowns before. Never in the history of government shutdowns, even in Donald Trump's government shutdown, who at the time was the longest government shutdown, only to be eclipsed by this current government shutdown. Who's the president? Donald Trump. But even in that time, Donald Trump did not stop feeding people. He didn't cut SNAP benefits. This time he did. He did this purposely and maliciously. He said, look, if the Democrats don't play ball with me, I'm going to punish poor folks. Typical mentality of a rich person. He didn't give a damn about people can't eat. This past weekend, I was at Costco. It was packed like sardines. He had the nerves to get on the TV the other day and say, well, you know, Walmart has a Thanksgiving package and it's cheaper than it was last year. He thinks people are dumb. He is a classic example of he don't know his butt from a hole in the ground. Okay? What he didn't realize that there are 9 less items in this package than it was last year. He's a dumbass. Excuse my vernacular. But they're learning the hard way. Because now they're trying to pretend like nothing happened. Oh, those were just blue states. Mississippi ain't no blue state. I'm just saying. Florida ain't no blue state. All these boards, Georgia ain't no blue state. All these smaller elections that took place where y'all got your butts handed to you. And Republicans are freaking out. They are scared to death. Fox went on this tirade of all their guests talking about how bad New York is going to be and friends are moving and, oh, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. You know, I got up Wednesday morning and looked northeast, you know, towards New York. I didn't see anything falling out the sky. Steve Bannon even got on his podcast talking about we got to do something in 2026, because if we don't, next year, all of us some of us that's sitting in here today is gonna be in jail, including me. Now, I don't know if other people read that the way I did, but are you saying, Steve Bannon, that what you are doing and what you've been doing is illegal? And it's illegal? And if you don't get something done, if the Republicans don't win, you are going to be brought up on charges of illegal activity along with some of your cohorts? Oh my God. You understand what I'm saying here, folks? That these people have lost their minds. My friend's gonna leave New York. Oh, this is the worst thing that's gonna happen. They attacked this man unbelievably. Next segment, we're gonna talk about Jonathan Greenblatt and his racism. It was unbelievable that he got on Morning Joe on Friday and said some of the things that he said about Zorhan Mamdani. You see, Israel is a problem. And the American people are beginning to wake up. New York is changing. New York is no longer going to be ignoring the various things that have been going on in New York. Part of the reason, I'll tell you what made me fall in love with Mamdani. When they had the debate, one of the many debates that they had, and the moderator asked all three of the people, or I think it was 4 or 5 at the time, this was before they were whittled down, if they won the New York election, the mayor's election, what would be the first thing they'd do? Mamdani, all of them said, I'm going to go to Israel. Mamdani said, I'm going to the 5 Boroughs of New York because those are the people that need me. I'm not the mayor of Israel. I'm the mayor. I'll be the mayor of New York City. Boom. Boom. And see, here's where the Democratic Party has got to be very careful. Because Mamdani, whether you want to call him, many people are calling him socialist, calling him a communist. He does identify as a democratic socialist. I don't care. He still has to operate within the laws of America, and that's of America and the state of New York and the city of New York City. But here was a man that was talking about rent, talking about food, things that everyday Americans have to deal with, not the rich fat cats. And the New York Democratic Party has got to be careful here, because the American Democratic people, particularly of New York, sent you a message. You have an opportunity, Democrats, is that this is now, you say, we are the party of the big tent. LGBT, Muslim, Black, Hispanic, you name it. Every minority, white, identifies right now with the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, many of you dropped the ball, including Hakeem Jeffries, of not endorsing Mamdani when you should have. The question is why? Chuck Schumer never endorsed him. Jeffries finally endorsed him. And when asked the question about why it took so long, he claims that he had been talking with Mamdani all along. Then he was asked, well, what about the $1 million+ that you're taking from AIPAC? We never got an answer from that. We're going to talk about that next hour. All I'm saying to you is the Democratic Party has an opportunity here. Part of the reason Mamdani won is that voters under 30 voted for him hook, line, and sinker. And see, this is what I've been trying to tell the Democratic Party, is that you got a lot of old heads in that party, including Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi just decided that she wasn't going to run again. Thank God. Chuck Schumer needs to go. Period. He is pro-Jewish. I ain't mad about that. But dude, you too old. It's time to go, bro. Time to see you. And the fact that you didn't endorse Mamdani says you need to go. See, here's the funny thing about this thing with Jews and Mamdani. Older Jews, according to the exit polls, didn't vote for Mamdani. Younger Jews did. Hello? Earth to Democrats. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm just saying. Here's an opportunity. You can sit on your hands and complain about it, or you can stand up and accept the fact that the world is changing. And on that note, I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to go to break. You see all this gray? I know I look good. You know, women all the time, man, you really look good in your gray. You're a sexy old man. And then you're a sexy old man. How old are you? I'm 64. Oh, you got to be kidding. Oh, no, you're so... You know, I'm not saying that to be vain. I'm just saying this to make a point, is that I'm 64. I've got more time behind me than I have ahead of me. The future is no longer mine. I've lived my future. What I live now is my present. Those 30-somethings who voted for Mamdani, they voted for a future that is not like what the Rethuglicans Party is offering. And you, the Democratic Party, has an opportunity to seize this moment. And if you drop the ball, then it's on you. We'll take the top of the hour break. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinedradio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at joinedradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joinedradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about joinedradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joinedradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joinedradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you'd like to join the show, stop. Before I go any further, I have to take a moment to wish my beautiful wife, Alicia Coleman, happy anniversary. I tell you what, I've met a lot of great women in my life, but I've never met one like Alicia Coleman, whom swept me off my feet. And I am glad, I am happy, I am blessed that you are my wife. And may we have many, many more great anniversaries. Okay, that's enough of the soppy stuff. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. Go out to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to check out the show. No, it's not Twitter. Instagram. I don't do Twitter. That's an Elon Musk thing. I don't do that. In fact, they don't even call it Twitter anymore. But while you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe say hello to all the new subscribers that we've been picking up along the way. They're slow, but we're getting them. They're coming. I'm kind of introducing the show to people, and they're going out immediately and subscribing, so I appreciate that as well. Also, don't forget to support our sponsors, joinnetradio.com. As I've told you before, they are trying to get me off the air in Little Rock. Okay? Joinnet Radio is the only black-owned radio station in the state of Arkansas. Let me say that again. Joinnet Radio is the only black-owned radio station in the state of Arkansas. Yeah, there are stations there that play black music, but they're not black-owned. Joinnet Radio does things in the black community that no others do. And Joinnet Radio supports this show. As a matter of fact, when I first moved back to Little Rock and I wanted to come and do a show, I went to one of the FM black, quote unquote, radio stations that was owned by white folks, by the way. And you know what the black program director told me? He said, after listening to my show, he said, man, you make some great points, but I can't put you on the air here. I knew why. I've been in the radio business for 30 years. He said, I can't put you on the radio here because I got sponsors to be concerned about. I said, oh, you mean white sponsors? He said, you know the business. You know what I'm talking about. I got to pay bills. Yeah. I said, so, okay, bro, no problem. You selling out. I left. I ended up at Joinnet because Joinnet refused to sell out. J.C. Love refuses to sell out. He refuses to be bullied by white people and their money. Okay? He refuses. So go out and support Joinnet Radio. Also, don't forget to support my business, ribrub.com, RIBBRUBB.com. Yes, I also had someone white to tell me, hey man, if you weren't so controversial, you'd probably be selling more product. So what you're saying to me, by the way, he's not a white friend anymore because he hadn't bought any. He claimed he was my friend, but he's never purchased anything from me. It's kind of typical of what white businesses and Hispanics and Arabs do. They come into the community and take all of our money by opening stores, but they don't give anything back. Here was a guy who called himself my friend. I had known him for years, and he's never bought one damn thing from me. And then he had the unmitigated gall to say, you know what? If you weren't so controversial with your show, don't get me wrong, I like your show. You and I have known each other for X amount of years, yada, yada, yada. But maybe you need to tone it down a little bit. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the dog should have bit you. Because at the end of the day, I stand for what's right. And if you can't support a business that stands for what's right, even though sometimes it may seem controversial, then guess what? I don't want your damn support. There you have it. One last thing before we get into this segment of the show. Join my one-man band to get rid of the N-word. Okay? Now, I meant to do this last segment. Let me see if I can quickly bring it up. I got a response to a post. Hopefully it's still here. I got to find it. I should have thought about this earlier. Let's see here. Where is he? Oh, I got a response to one of my posts from last week by a brother by the name of Robert Brown. And I love what he's saying. Let me just read this to you real fast. Much respect for the movement and the message, especially the stand to cleanse our language of Euro-engineered distortion. Linguistic sovereignty is liberation. Every word we reclaim recodes the frequencies of our collective field. Let's keep remembering when we speak from Mott, we transmit power, not protest. When we name ourselves from within, we nullify the spell of their speech. So let's support Black Focus Dialogue. Let's rise above on Melanin Day. By the way, Melanin Day is Black Friday and beyond. We'll talk about that as well. Thank you, Robert Brown. I'm going to continue to use this when we're talking about getting rid of the N-word. I love that part where it's, he says, much respect, especially to stand to cleanse our language of Euro-engineered distortion. Linguistic sovereignty is liberation. Y'all think I ain't making a difference? All right, hold my beer. Well, I should say hold my Kool-Aid. No, I should say hold my lemonade. You know what? I haven't drank Kool-Aid in a long time. I think I'm going to go buy some Kool-Aid, make some Kool-Aid. All right, so that's, in other words, just don't say it. I said all that to say just don't say it, okay? All right, this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about Israel, more about Mamdani, and we're also going to talk about SNAP, okay? And last but not least, we'll do what we must do. But as I said and ended the last segment of the show, Mamdani has got everybody tripping. And as you all well know, I'm anti-Israel. Now, some out there is going to say, well, you're anti-Semitic. Well, I've told you over and over again, I can't be anti-Semitic because guess what? Semitism is an African origin. The Jews that are in Israel right now are not African. Their DNA doesn't match any of the Jews that were there previously. They were imported. Those were imported Jews from Ashkenaz, from the Caucasus Mountains. You see, they don't mind killing people to take what's theirs. And they've had a hold on the American political system for a long time. Those of you who don't even know, did y'all know that Israel, the IDF, trains American police forces? Did y'all know that? Now, here is a military force that kills children and women. At last count, there have been at least 20,000 children killed in Israel. At last count, there has been at least 60,000 Palestinians and others killed by Israel. Babies have been sniped, been shot in the head, dropped off buildings, bombed. Hospitals, schools have been bombed. And this same defense force trains American police. Now, maybe you're not drawing the same line that I'm drawing, but if I'm being trained by killers, then the trainee is going to develop killer instincts. So let me think, could that be why many police departments around the United States are killers? They're not concerned about the working with the people. They're no longer community servants. Could that be possible? I wonder. You know someone who I'd love to debate Jonathan Greenblatt is Mehdi Hassan. Because Jonathan Greenblatt was on Morning Joe last week. And I just happened to be looking because I was getting the aftermath of the election information, you know. And he was on the day after Mamdani won. Or maybe it was Friday he was on. And he was on there literally His head was glowing red so hot I thought it was gonna pop like a pimple. Those of you who don't know who Jonathan Greenblatt is, let me refresh your memory. Jonathan Greenblatt is the head of the ADL. Okay? And Jonathan, this is a lobbyist organization designed to lobby Jewish interest. In fact, they lobby Jewish interest more so than they lobby American interest. You know, when the NAACP or black organizations lobby for black people, what that does is help black people, but overall it helps America. Because if black people are being treated fairly, they're getting their fair shake, then ultimately that's going to help America. But ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt and AIPAC, they're not concerned about the American people. They are concerned about Israel. Hello? They're concerned about Israel. So they don't care about the American people. And what is going on right now has them all in a tizzy. Because see, we grew up, particularly white people, with the lie that those in Israel today are God's chosen people. It's amazing when you start educating yourself and learning, you begin to realize that they are not God's chosen people. And if you want to go further, we can debate the Bible all you want. Those 12 tribes of Israel were from Africa. They were not from the Caucasus Mountains. They were not the Jews that have hijacked that story and tried to make it theirs. In fact, they don't even accept Christianity. They're not Christians, they're Jews. That's their religious distinction. And they are well within their right to believe whatever they want. But they have been great in fooling the American people and the world. But see, the world is waking up, and so are some of the American people. You're beginning to see Americans ask their representatives, whether they're Democrat or Republican, how much money are you taking from AIPAC? Are you supporting Israel more than you're supporting America? You're seeing these videos pop up all through social media because what is happening? See, the Trump administration tried to pretend like, oh, well, some of these schools have anti-Semitism on their campus. No, that wasn't anti-Semitism. Those young people were voicing their opinions about Israel. You see, this whole thing about anti-Semitism on campuses was engineered by the ADL and AIPAC. They went to the Trump administration. You got to do something about what's going on our campus. They don't like Jews. No, it's not that they don't like Jews. They don't like Israel. And then you couple that with the fact that you're sending billions of dollars to Israel, and then you don't even want to feed Americans. You don't even want to give Americans health care when in fact those people have free health care. Those people have free college. This is where the frustration is coming in from Americans. This frustration has been part of my psyche for decades. Finally, people are beginning to wake up. And they are young people. They no longer want our time. If you tell me you are America first, then everything you do should start with America. Don't give me a damn slogan. It sounds good. Let's just say America first. No. Do it in not only thought, but in deed. And when you tell me that I can't feed my people, I can't get a decent wage, oh, I got a problem with that. When you tell me that somebody like Bari Weiss, who was an editor for the New York Times, lied on a Palestinian poet and said that he was anti-Israel, and later on, Israel bombs this man's house and kills him, and this American person just got a new job at CBS. Hello? We don't need those people in our media. We don't need them trying to color what's going on in Israel. If you were so up and if you were so above board, why is it that you banned international media? That's the kind of stuff that Vladimir Putin does. If everything you do, if what you're doing, if you're prosecuting the quote unquote war against Hamas the way you say you are, why are you banning American media? And you want us just to take the word from the IDF. You must think we boo-booed the doggone fool that was born last night. No, bro. The American people are waking up. And then when Al Jazeera makes a report, oh, well, we can't believe Al Jazeera because, you know, they're Muslim. We can't believe anything Muslims do. Do you know that Israel was part of the reason we bombed Iraq? Did you know that Israel is part of the reason that we were that we are enemies with Iran? How is it that we're letting this little bitty country dictate our foreign policy? Hello? Now, before you say, oh, he's anti-Semitic, no, I'm not. I'm anti-killing children. Same as I was with apartheid. If we could wind the tape back, because back then I was writing letters about apartheid. I'm anti-killing children, as any decent human being would be. And I've got to question. And by the way, I want to applaud the Jews in New York who were protesting this past weekend against Israel. Are they anti-Semitic? There were like 100 of them. Signs, everything, raising hell in downtown New York. Boldly saying that they are anti-Israel. Those are Jews who are saying what Israel is doing is wrong. So Jonathan Greenblatt, when you attacked the mayor of New York, when you attacked him and started calling him out of his name right there on that show, talking about we're going to have a Muslim monitor. Who the hell are you? We need to have a Jewish monitor because you all have taken over our government. You are stealing money from the American people, and you have the unmitigated gall to be on a national news show and pretend like you some holier than thou person. And it got so bad that even Joe Scarborough had to call your ass out. All live on the air. It got just that bad. And if you haven't seen that video, please do, because I'm not going to waste my airtime on my show to show that racist and that bigot. Because that's what the ADL is a racist and a bigoted organization. Every time a Muslim does something, by the way, there are Muslims in America, just like there are Christians and Buddhists, agnostics. And just because you don't agree with him, all of a sudden you want to call him a terrorist? You want to call him a communist? All of you people out there that are doing this. Israel is a problem for the world. And the sad thing about it is that these people hold and own nuclear weapons. And they have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that if they don't get their way, they would be more apt to just blow the whole thing up. I'm just saying. This is utterly ridiculous and preposterous. And the fact that Morning Joe had to call you out live on the air, and he even used the example. He said, you remember, Jonathan, you and Reverend Al didn't get along at one point. Are you saying you can't work with Mamdani? You and Al, Reverend Al are friends. Hello? And he made the suggestion, well, he hasn't come to us. Well, look, this is a new day, folks. You old heads that have been in political power for years think that somebody got to come to your desk and bend the knee to you. You know better than Donald Trump. What you should have been doing and what you should be doing is, if you are a legitimate leader of your organization, you should say, hey, let me reach out to Zorhan Mamdani. I've heard a lot. I've seen a lot. I'm confused about some of the things that he said. Let me pick up the phone, me, Jonathan Greenblatt, and call Mamdani and say, hey, look, can we have a meeting? Can we sit down and have a meeting about what's going on? You haven't done that. You didn't do it. And you know why you didn't do it and you haven't done it? Because you don't want to. You want to fearmonger. You want to fearmonger. You want to paint this man as some Muslim terrorist that is now running New York, and he's going to come and bomb all of the Jewish synagogues. Hello? You sat there and lied and said he had never been to a synagogue, which was a lie. Because you don't know him. You don't want to know him. You want to fearmonger. You want people to believe that this man is all bad. Because you want to push your agenda, not for American Jews, but for Israeli Jews and Israel. That's you, Jonathan Greenblatt. You have no credibility. And last week, we saw it up close and personal. We saw what you are. Some of us already knew it. But you know, there's an old saying. It's better to be taught, or at least thought a fool, than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. In your case, Jonathan Greenblatt, it's better to be thought a racist than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And that interview on Morning Joe removed any doubt whatsoever of who you are and what your organization stands for. And you can go down the list of all the things that you say that this organization has done. But at the end of the day, your organization is not for the best interest of America. Your organization is for the best interest of Israel. And it is high time that the American people, regardless of your socioeconomic background, your political persuasion, that you stand up and say, no more, and really believe and stand for America first. And let's stop sending all of this money to a country who steals from us, to a country who spies on us, to a country who tries to lead us into war. And we need to talk to every politician that is taking money from AIPAC and the Jewish lobby and ask the question, what are you doing? We have to do that now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's see what else we got on the agenda today. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about SNAP. Got to talk about that. And then what we must do, and we'll be done. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinnetradio.com. Hey friends, David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Products and RibRub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com. It's where you'll find the best dry marinade for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats and vegetables. We're gearing up for a very busy season, so I want you to make sure you take advantage of the great sale we've got going on right now. It's the Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box. It comes in 3 great flavors, hot and spicy, original, or scorching, or a 4th combination box. What is a Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box? Well, I'm glad you asked. You get 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Nuts, a bag of Coleman's Dynamic Fry Dust, and of course, you get a bottle of rib juice, pepper juice, and rib dust. You can't beat that. Order a Coleman's Dynamic gift box today and get a digital copy of the Coleman's Dynamic recipe book. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now is the time to place that order for Coleman's Dynamic gift box before the holiday rush. And remember, bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at ribrub.com. All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. Man, it was a jam-packed week last week. There's so much stuff I need to talk about, but I just can't fit it in today. And we'll touch on it tangentially as we go through our shows in the future. But this segment, I want to talk a little bit about SNAP. We talked a little bit about it on the last show, but it's in, but even more so, now that the first SNAP payments have been missed and court filings and rulings have been made by judges demanding that the Trump administration fund SNAP. Initially, the USDA, the segment of the government responsible for this, for the money that goes down to the states so the states can administer these benefits. Initially, they said, well, okay, we'll give them 50%. We'll give them 50. Give them, can I get 45, 50. Sold to the poor folks. Oh, that's mighty white of y'all to give us 50% of the benefits that you, the American government, promised. States went back to court. The court demanded that no, we want all of it. Then the administration said, well, we can give them 65. 50. We first said 50, 66. Can I get 65? Sold. The court said, no, bro, that's not going to work. And as of this past Friday, the court said you can tap into a particular fund. By the way, that fund has $23 billion in it. To fund SNAP is only $8 billion. You need to go over there and get some of that money right there. And you know what the Trump administration did? They decided that they were going to try and get an emergency stay to keep that particular court from making them pay 100% of the SNAP benefits. Now, wait a minute. Now, if you just missed what I just said, let me try to break it down in English. In other words, the Trump administration and his band of Rethuglicans thugs decided that, hey, we're going to go to court and try to keep from paying the 100% SNAP benefits. We don't care that y'all are starving. We don't care that the babies need formula. We just don't want to pay your benefits. We don't want to pay for SNAP. We don't care that 45 million people in America rely on SNAP. Not white, not just black, not just Republican, not just Democrat, old, young, you name it. They rely on SNAP benefits. And you went to court. Donald J. Trump administration went to court to try and keep from even paying 65% of the benefits. What does that tell you? It tells you what I've been telling you for years, that rich people don't give a damn about poor people. And more importantly, the Rethuglicans Party has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they don't give a damn about you either. Because the Senate had an opportunity last week to vote on more funding, and guess what? They voted it down. Hello? Are y'all paying attention yet? Don't get mad at me. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me. No, I'm not sorry. Because y'all need to hear this. Y'all need to hear this. Because what happened Tuesday should be a direct result on how you, particularly if you are a SNAP benefit person, or recipient, I should say, as in government lingo, you should be paying attention. Because you have a $23 billion fund. It only cost $8 billion to fund SNAP in its entirety. And you, the Trump Rethuglicans administration, went to court, to not even pay that. Remember, I told you that in the history of government shutdowns, SNAP benefits have never been stopped. Did you just hear what I said? In the history of government shutdowns, SNAP benefits have never been stopped. They kept paying them. So the question you should be asking yourself is that why did they stop this time? And the reason they stopped is because of that Rethuglicans party. Yeah, I'm calling them out, and you should too, because right now you don't have your benefits. You still don't have them. Even with the court saying you got to pay them as of this past Friday, you still don't have your benefits. You still gonna have to go stand in line at the pantry, at the food barn, at the food closet, or whatever y'all call it in your community. You're still gonna have, and you know what? You're probably still not gonna have enough food for your kids. And by the way, you might need to put Thanksgiving on hold, because the money that you were gonna use to have Thanksgiving, you're not gonna have much to be thankful for. But, Snappies, this is why you should be concerned. Here's why you should be concerned. It's because you are one of the many people who decided that you were going to vote for Donald Trump. I saw this white lady. She was on social media. She was just crying. I'm a Trump supporter. I've supported Trump from day one, and I love Donald Trump, and I believe in what he's doing. But I'm not gonna get my SNAP benefits. I'm hungry. I got family to feed. I got a child that's sick. I can't get any benefits whatsoever. I've tried to call my representative, and they're not answering my calls, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Did y'all hear that violin playing in the background? Oh, wah, 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 wah. I don't care. Yeah, some people are trying to be diplomatic and say, I'm not going to say I told you so. But I'm going to say I told y'all so. Y'all got farfoed. Okay? Y'all got farfoed. And it's beating you upside the head now. Hello? And you want people to feel sorry for you because this is a piece of crap that you voted in office? And not just him, his Rethuglicans buddies. These are the people you voted in office. These are the people who lied to you, came in your community and said, hey, we're going to cut food prices. We're going to make it affordable for you again. When they were lying through their nasty teeth. And y'all said, hey, and oh, by the way, don't forget them immigrants trying to steal your job, and they bringing drugs over here. And y'all said, see, they trying to do stuff for America. No, they're not. They did exactly what we expected them to do, was vote themselves a pay raise. And that's what they've done. Oh, by the way, you do realize that during this government shutdown, that many of the Rethuglicans are still getting a paycheck. I saw two over the weekend who said, oh, I'm not getting a paycheck. There were two in Arkansas who said, oh, I'm not getting a paycheck. You're a damn lie. You prove it. Prove it. Because I don't believe a word a Rethuglicans says. They say stuff for political expediency. They don't say things that they mean. They say stuff that they think you want to hear. It's kind of like dating. When you go out and you date, you see this fine woman, and you say, man, I sure would like to, And then you go up to her and you say stuff to her, and you say things to her that you hope that will curry her favor. You know you're lying. You know you don't drive a Maserati. You know you don't live in a penthouse. You know you don't own your own business. Oh, you might own a car washing business. With the truck that has the big old thing of wild on the back and you drive around, you know what I'm talking about, right? You get the point. This is what Republicans did to you. This is what they did to y'all. They lied. They told y'all that we for American people. We're America first. America this, America that. And they don't give a damn about you, man. And y'all on here crying because you don't get your SNAP benefits. Well, that's because you didn't vote or you didn't vote for the right people. Coming up next segment, I'm going to go in on black folks who tend to believe that, hey, it's okay not to vote with y'all dumbasses. I'm sorry. I'm a little raw today. I'm tired. I'm not tired. I'm tired. Old folks, my grandma used to say tired. Grandma, how you doing now? I'm tired. I'm tired. In fact, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what Fannie Lou Hamer said. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. In other words, Fannie Lou Hamer was sick and tired of your racism and your bigotry. And I'm sick and tired of being tired of your racism and your bigotry. Fannie Lou Hamer said that back in the 60s. We are in the 21st century and we're still sick and tired of being sick and tired of you lying to American people. And it's time for the American people to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of them lying to you. And if we don't have any other example whatsoever, the fact that you've got politicians who are making money from the American people, you are paid with our tax dollars, who don't want to feed Americans, that's a problem. Yet you will send $4 billion to Israel. You will spend $40 billion to Argentina. And then you will tell Argentina, hey, guess what? We're going to buy y'all beef. Beef farmers in America are struggling. But you going to go and buy beef from Argentina? Man, come on. And then last Friday, you have this lavish ball, as I mentioned earlier, surrounding the Great Gatsby theme, the richest excess in the early 20s. Have women dancing in champagne bottles, glasses, and people can't even go and buy food because there are no SNAP benefits. That's a problem, folks. And if nothing else, you should have learned the one thing is elections have consequences. And when you don't vote, these are the consequences, and oftentimes you're not ready to deal with them. We'll take our last break. When we come back is what we must do. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices, on joinetradio.com. Hey friends, David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Products and RibRub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com. It's where you'll find the best dry marinade for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats and vegetables. We're gearing up for a very busy season, so I want you to make sure you take advantage of the great sale we've got going on right now. It's the Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box. It comes in 3 great flavors: hot and spicy, original, or scorching, or a 4th combination box. What is a Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box? Well, I'm glad you asked. You get 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Nuts, a bag of Coleman's Dynamic Fry Dust, and of course, you get a bottle of rib juice, pepper juice, and rib dust. You can't beat that. Order a Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box today and get a digital copy of the Coleman's Dynamic Recipe Book. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now is the time to place that order for Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box before the holiday rush. And remember, bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at RibRub.com. Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. This is my favorite segment of What We Must Do. We do this every week. We try to sum up the show itself and talk about some of the things that we have to do in the black community. And today, it's pretty simple. It's vote. Now, I know what you're saying. And if you're one of those who are saying, voting ain't gonna matter, see Tuesday's results. You know, from this point on, I'm gonna tell you like this, that when you get black folks in the black community telling black people that voting, your vote doesn't count, you need to run their asses out the building. Period. End of story. Especially if they call themselves black leaders. Now, in this day and time, everybody has a podcast. They can get on a podcast and say whatever they want to say. And that's the great thing about the First Amendment. But just because someone says it doesn't mean it's right. Just because someone is of media savvy and says it doesn't make it right. Just because somebody can make a rap song cussing, degrading women, creating mayhem, and then all of a sudden they want to be a political philosopher and say your vote doesn't matter. Ignore their stupid selves because they're being stupid. And all you have to do is point to this past Tuesday. In fact, November 4th, 2025 gave all of the don't vote because it don't matter folks shut up juice. In other words, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Because somebody have told you and you've been misinformed that your single vote is going to elicit all these treasures to come to you. When you don't understand that the vote is a collective movement. The vote is it's like dollars. When you're saving, let's say you're trying to save $10,000. That $1 that you get to put to that account is your vote to save that 10K. Okay? So you're saying that, hey, my one vote don't matter. So collectively, I can't never get to $10,000. That's as simple as I can put it. So what you're saying is that my vote don't matter. So I'm not going to vote at all. So I'm never going to reach the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. Because collectively that's how this thing called a democracy works. It's collectively we join together to move a movement. We join together to make things happen at the ballot box. The most powerful weapon you have is your vote. You have 2 votes, as a matter of fact. You vote every day with your dollar. Every time you go to a store, you're voting. That store is okay with me. Oh, you say that's not right? I bet Target doesn't agree with that. Because guess what? Target this past year lost $15 billion because black folks and many others, including white folks and Hispanics, decided that they were not going to vote for Target. And you said, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about, vote for Target? Target wasn't running for anything. Target is running for anything every day. Your vote is your dollar. That's any business that you spend your money with. You're voting with that dollar. So your vote matters. The same thing applies when you vote politically. Is that you join with a group of people, like-minded people who believe in the same things that you believe in. And you say, hey, look, I can't get everything. It's kind of like when you go to Target or when you go to Kroger or when you go to Aldi or when you go to Safeway or a Giant or Vice or whatever store you go to. You go in that store and you see things you want. As a matter of fact, I was at Costco this weekend and there was a water bottle that I wanted. My wife wouldn't let me have it. She wouldn't let me get it, but I wanted it. Okay. We had the money to buy it. but we didn't buy it. You know why? Because you can't get everything you want all the time. Okay? It's like I want a Corvette right now, but I can't get a Corvette. Okay? So when you're voting, there are things that we all want, but we have to compromise and say, okay, I can't get everything I want in my vote, but collectively we can help other people. You get that, right? Some of y'all don't. Some of y'all are going to be cognitive dissonance. No matter what the facts present to you, it ain't going to matter. You're not going to pay attention. You just simply don't care. And that's sad. It really is. Because at the end of the day, you all are the problem. You're worse than the people that are in power right now. You're doing their bidding because they bank on the fact that you don't show up to the polls. Just this past election in 2024, did you know that 9 million Democrats didn't show up to the polls? Now just think if they would have showed up, how this world, this America today would be different. Maybe it would have been the same, but I tell you what we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have a racist in the White House. We wouldn't have a 34-count convicted felon in the White House. We wouldn't have a pedophile in the White House. Hello? I can go on and on and on. Had you simply showed up to vote. You owe this country something. Now, one of the things about this country that is great is that you have the right not to vote. You have the right to protest. In fact, you have the right to write in a candidate. That's your prerogative. But at the end of the day, why are you being obstinate? Why are you being different? Why your cognitive dissonance is eating away at your maggot brain? Maybe you should think that, although this may not help me, I'm going to help somebody else by voting. But you all didn't think about that. So my point today in this segment is that you have been proven a fool and an idiot because Tuesday's results said beyond a shadow of a doubt that when you vote, you make a difference. You think all those races that I talked about earlier in the show, you think that's not important? You think that you wouldn't make a difference? You think that those people who stood in line for Prop 50, where there was nothing else on the ballot, do you think that they didn't think that their vote mattered? Well, guess what? It does. It does. And it did. It mattered in Maine. It mattered in Mississippi. It mattered in Georgia. It mattered in Virginia. It mattered in Oklahoma. It mattered in New Jersey. It mattered in race after race after race after race after race across this country in a small election that your vote matters. And anyone who says that it doesn't, they are lying to you and they don't deserve your thoughts, your friendship, or your love. And that includes your family members, because sometimes your family members can be dumber than a box of rocks. Everybody got that old guy, they all gonna do the same thing, so why should I go out and vote anyway, because it ain't gonna matter a difference. Then his wife comes in, my mom was on SNAP and she ain't got no food. We need to buy her some food. Why I gotta buy her some food? Yeah. You the dumbass. And many of you are alike, whether you male or female. I'm not going to use the argument, well, people fought and died for your right to vote. Yeah, they did. That's an empirical fact that people fought and died for your right to vote. And if you don't have any other reason, you should be understanding that the reason that you are here today, the reason that you're not on a plantation, the reason that you're not sitting at the back of the bus, or you can't eat at restaurants, or you can't drink at the cold water fountain, or you gotta get out of sundown towns, the reason that is because people got out to vote. And as a matter of fact, the reason that you can espouse your stupidity on social media is because people got out to vote. I know you don't get it. You don't understand it. But I today, as I've been doing so, I today stand more fervently against people like you who say your vote doesn't matter. And I don't care if you're mad at me, because your vote matters. And if you want to sit around and continue to be a stupid ass, then you go right ahead. But what the results said this past Tuesday, those results said you are a damn lie. And you know what we must do? Vote. That's going to do it for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also, there are some sales going on ribrub.com. All you got to do is click one of the links below this show, and you can catch a gift box for $29.95. Great deal. And don't forget to support all of our sponsors. And man, I love y'all so much. I really appreciate you. I've got to go back and read this quote from a brother who posted on my wall before I get out of here. His name was Robert Brown. He says, "Much respect for the movement and the message, especially the stand to cleanse our language of Euro-engineered distortion. Linguistic sovereignty is liberation. Every word we reclaim recodes the frequency of our collective field. Let's keep remembering, when we speak from Mott, we transmit power, not protest. When we name ourselves from within, we nullify the spell of their speech." Y'all have a great day, and thanks for listening to Black Focus Radio.
Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah. You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joinetradio.com.